Hello. Literally everyone in my estate, because we're in quarantine, is like mowing their lawn or doing gardening, so sorry if you can hear the lawnmowers in the background. That's why I was like, shut up, stop doing stuff. Today's video is just a normal Q&A because I had ideas to do all other stuff. I have loads of ideas to do videos, but I'm just not in the right mind frame to be like giving educational videos, and I think this is more relaxed and not as much pressure to be like entertaining, so I'm just gonna do that. Also, my hands are so brown and I have been washing them, guys, and my shellac is growing out. Honestly, tasty. I have stress-induced alopecia, so when I'm stressed out my hair falls out. Obviously global pandemic, can't see my boyfriend and stuff, so my hair is currently falling out. And I know there's fucking, what you call him, your man, who made the hate video about me. I don't know, crazy guy who's like, if you go vegan you'll lose your hair. Yeah, my hair has been falling out since I was a kid, like since before I was even a vegan, so it's not connected to that if he wants to attack me over that. So first question is, what's the hardest thing that you've had to give up to benefit the environment? The hardest thing for me to give up, but obviously not, I don't miss it now, was probably smoking, but that's obviously because I was addicted to smoking anyway. So I wanted to give up smoking, not only for the environment, of course, for my health too, but I still have like the odd fag when I'm drinking, but I can smoke once and like not do it again, if you know what I mean. So that's how I know I'm not addicted. Other than that, like veganism at the start was obviously harder because there wasn't as much meat substitutes, but now if I'm like craving a chicken nugget, I can just have a vegan chicken nugget. It's not a big deal. So it's not like I miss any food or anything. And like working in Urban Outfitters, I loved buying clothes from there, but like I'm over that too because I just get everything kind of cheaper on Depop anyway. Actually not much. The hardest thing to give up was smoking, but that's, you know, no one should smoke. The next question is, do you like being an influencer? Is there any pros and cons that you didn't think you'd have before? Cons would probably be like when single and like seeing people, the people that I'd be seeing, if we like stopped talking, they'd like tell all their friends about it and everyone would automatically know who I was. It's easier for stuff to spread about you, or like for rumors to spread, because everyone if more people know you, the easier it is for people to like talk about it, or the more people that are interested. If you heard a story about Karen down the road that you don't know, you're less likely to tell other people because they don't know who she is. But if someone tells you a story about me and all of your friend group follows me, or quickly to believe and is more likely to spread it, whatever the fuck it is. Most of the time I don't care, but when it's to do with like personal things, like about my family, or maybe stuff that I just don't want to tell people, or stuff that's even made up about me, and then obviously just like getting the odd like ignorant comment or mean comment if I'm feeling sensitive, because like usually it doesn't affect me at all. My ears have been fucking blocked for ages. And then yeah, so obviously just like if I get any mean comments, but if I'm feeling down that day, like usually I just don't care because it's usually stupid. It doesn't even make sense. I just delete it and ignore it. But sometimes I've had to turn my comments off TikTok for the quarantine stage because I just can't handle it if anyone says anything. Like someone commented being like so unblended about my makeup, and I just had to like turn off comments. Like that's how sensitive I am. Yeah, it's totally dependent on how I'm feeling. And then the pros, what would the pros be? I've met loads of friends through my phone. There's some perks, like you obviously would get guest lists to things and get invited to stuff, like movie premieres I've been invited to. How to stay positive in bad times. So the only thing I can recommend is, I'm not a huge advocate of being like journal and gratitude and stuff, because sometimes it's just so difficult to even be grateful for stuff. Like you can't wake up and be like, I'm so grateful for being able to go out for lunch with my friend today, because you just can't leave your house. But what did really, because this morning I was like, I'm not fucking getting out of bed, like that's it, I'm just gonna sleep all day. Then I just FaceTimed my friend and then put makeup on and got ready, because obviously my hair falling out is like really upsetting me, and I can't see my boyfriend who's across the country, and it's the whole like unknown of when we can see each other next. I just FaceTimed one of my friends and I felt immediately better. But my mom did FaceTime me this morning. That's what woke me up, because I didn't set an alarm, because I was like, there's no point. So she FaceTimed me and she always cheers me up. She was being gas bitch as usual. I just FaceTime people that you love. Next question is, what does being sexually liberated and confident in your body mean to you? I think just like accepting your flaws, but like body flaws are a social construct, so they don't even exist anyway. It's just like what you're bombarded with on media or whatever, or like even Photoshop. So it's just accepting that those are social constructs and that your body is perfect the way it is, because it can function. You can do amazing things to your body. Being sexually liberated is just like admitting to yourself and to others that you enjoy sex as well. Because a lot of times like women can be shamed into, you're not supposed to enjoy sex, slut, get back in the kitchen. It's just like admitting to yourself and admitting to, you're saying, communicating to others that you also do enjoy sex. I think that's what sexual liberation means to me anyway. How is veganism impacted your weight, body, and life in general? First time I went vegan, I was only eating carbs, so I wasn't really getting all of my nutrients in, low energy, you know, not getting enough iron, whatever, because I was anemic. So then I went off veganism because I was like, I'm not arsed. I don't understand nutrition or like how to eat food because I was only like 18 and doing my leaving cert, so I'm not arsed. When I went back vegan, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this properly. Nutrition is my number one. I was supplementing stuff where I couldn't get it in, so like B12 for example, because you can't get that in anything vegan. And then I was taking iron sometimes, and then now I take stuff for my hair growth. I don't even know what's in that. I think it's like collagen and vitamin C. And then I try to get as much veggies, fruits as possible. Process of elimination. You figure out what milks you like, figure out what veggies and fruits you like, you figure out what meat substitutes you don't like or don't agree with your body, because some of them are a lot more processed and are hard to digest. So I try to avoid them, like some of them, but I have them like as a treat. But yeah, when I first started doing the whole nutrition thing, I just wasn't eating enough. Like wasn't eating enough calories. I was losing a lot of weight, and then with stress as well, I don't eat as much. So I think at the time I had just broken up with my boyfriend, so I wasn't eating enough. But now that I'm vegan, I like have 6 meals a day, and I'm like, perfect, this is just for me. And I don't overeat, but I intuitively eat. So like some days I could have 2.5 meals, and then others I have like 6 meals. So it evens out, and I also get enough of my nutrients in. So now I'm at a really healthy weight, and my weight doesn't just fluctuate as much because I have a hormone balance, because I cut out soy in my diet. And soy, I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm pretty sure what happens is soy gives the reaction into your body that you have too much estrogen, so then it stops making it. So then that increases testosterone in your body, which like gives you acne. I don't have soy products anymore because it makes like estrogen blockers. Definitely look it up and don't take anything I take seriously. I think that's how my boobs grew, because of the hormone balance and maybe more estrogen in my diet now. I'm not sure. So maybe try cutting out soy. Soy is in like more things than you think. It's in like chocolate. Any philosophical thoughts on how virus could change our society? I think it's definitely made us appreciate time with our friends more, because now we're like cut off from people outside of our nuclear family. And a lot of times we can be, as humanity or like modern day society, be very recluse and introverted and like only go out when we're drinking and like going on nights out rather than actually spending the quality time together. And now that's like all I want. Even just like sitting in silence with all my friends is the only thing that I want at the moment. So I think it's made us as people appreciate time more with people outside of our family as well. There needs to be changes like for a more socialist, moving away from capitalism and offering like universal free healthcare, because it's made us realize that our health is also dependent on things like the environment and other people. So there should be universal free healthcare, and also that money can't buy you health, because as we've seen, a lot of like privileged famous people have gotten coronavirus, and no matter how rich you are, you can still die from it. And the priority is on the young people. How to keep yourself entertained during social distancing. Okay, so what I've been doing is, because I'm watching a lot of TV, I've switched now from this. Also, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Thank you. We had agreed on making videos together before the quarantine, so it's weird now that it's still continuing, but also very relevant because people are probably bored at home. So this part of the video is sponsored by Skillshare. If you saw my 20 Goals for 2020, you'll know that I've been using Skillshare for ages. The one that I'm watching at the moment, if you're interested, I watch more like the entrepreneurial ones, but there's all creativity based ones like photography. I think there's one in Photoshop, interior design, that sort of thing, but there's also like loads of a business side to it. So the one I'm watching is Bookkeeping for Freelancers, How to Handle Your Finances by Emily Sinnox, because obviously I'm self-employed now. I need to get an accountant, but I also want to know how to do my bookkeeping myself. But if you're wondering more about what Skillshare is, it offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative people and people looking to improve their craft and whatever it is they do, including illustration, design, photography, video, and freelancing. It can be useful for real and working creatives. If you become a member, you have unlimited access to thousands of online classes. That includes projects and feedbacks from the whole community that uses Skillshare. If you want to give feedback yourself, you can rate the video on how helpful you thought it was. So they're always constantly improving and evolving and trying to innovate and make it even better. I have a link down below. If you click it, you get your first 2 months for free, so that's really handy for quarantine. Woo! And then after that, I think it's less than $10 a month. So that's really handy because it works around your schedule. You can do it from home at any hour of the day. Yeah, check the link in the bio for 2 months for free. Next one is, if people have made negative comments about OnlyFans or YouTube, how do you cope with it? Usually, like, I'm so bad at actually communicating my advice on how I kind of block out people's opinions of me. Sometimes it does affect me, but as well, it's depending on, like I said earlier in the video, it's depending on how I'm feeling that day, or like how I'm feeling about myself at that time. Sometimes it is constructive criticism. For example, I'm very open to criticism if people think like, this was not right that you did, and it was hypocritical for you to do this even though you said this. But at the same time, I am a human. I'm never ever gonna be 100% perfect. Like, for example, I buy my eyebrow pencil from Essence because it's cruelty free and really affordable. A proportion of that money is going towards pennies, even though I say say to boycott it. But because I've studied fashion buying, I know how sales analysis works. It's not actually going into the fashion buying portion of sales analysis. Also, products like that are not manufactured by slaves across the world. They're manufactured by machines. So it's not partaking in an unethical practice either. And then another example is, I love the Denny's vegetarian sausages, but that's supporting a company that, you know, kills animals and sells animal products. Like, I can never be 100% perfect because I don't want to be so militant on myself, and I want to enjoy my life the best I can. But there is some sacrifices I do make, but then some stuff I let slide because at some point, of course, I wish that stuff didn't exist and I wouldn't have to make the choice and not feel guilty the whole time. But sometimes you just have to let yourself live your life, you know, as long as you're doing the absolute best that you can. That is me doing the absolute best that I can. That's what I'm allowing myself. So stuff like that, I would just ignore because I've already made that aware in myself. So people text me being like, this is hypocritical because you're doing this. It's like, I'm aware of that and I don't need someone else to tell me. So that's not affecting me because I've already registered that in my brain. But then if someone says something that I've never thought about before, sometimes it could be absolutely totally ignorant. Like sometimes people text me being like, you're on your phone and that's ruining the planet. Like, I know that's a stupid comment. I'm not ever going to make that sacrifice. It's more like if a comment affects you, it might mean that subconsciously you think that about yourself and that's why it's affecting you. So if someone comments on my appearance being like, your lips are tiny, and I already think about that, even though I practice self-acceptance and self-love, sometimes that can still affect me because I'm like, I do have no lips. So it's something that you more have to think about yourself and say, I like my small lips. If you say that to yourself, then that comment's not going to affect you. If that makes sense, but that's kind of how my brain works. And it's kind of wired in that way since I've been really young. So that's why I find it hard for me to give advice on like how to avoid negative comments and stuff, because that's how I treat myself. I'm like, I don't give I find it hard to give fuck, to actually give a shit. It's difficult for me to actually give a shit because those people are wasting their time to send you a message like that. It's like, that's pathetic, you know? And with the OnlyFans thing as well, like, I don't equate success with like how much money you would make, but these people are who attack you, like that's how they're thinking, being like, could you not get a proper job? Why do I have to? In the grand scheme of things, none of this matters. The only thing that is number one for me is not affecting my friends and family and making sure that I leave a good mark on them and that I'm improving their life. Leaving your imprint on the environment, that's what's important to me. And then if you're not hurting anyone's feelings, so you're not being like racist, xenophobic, homophobic, that sort of thing. Obviously, they're the top 3 things that you shouldn't be doing. But other than that, me selling my body online is not affecting anyone in the grand scheme of things. So honestly, give up. Like, it's such a petty way for me to reply, but I'm just like, I definitely make more money than you. But it's such a good comeback, you know? And then I got loads of questions about what my sexuality is. Like, I think like, what's your sexuality? How did you find out you're bi? How do you know if you're bi? That sort of thing. Now, I can't speak on anyone else's behalf because obviously sexuality is a spectrum. So each person, it's dependent on each person on how you feel about other people sexually. So I can't say this is how you know that you're bi. This is the formula on how you know you're bi. If you're bisexual, pansexual, whatever, you're on a spectrum obviously. So you could be more at this end, more at this end. No one knows. Whatever's going on in your brain, I can't tell because first of all, there's not enough studies to go in behind it, and I'm not a psychologist. Speaking on my own personal experience, you shouldn't take this as your own. I think I was around 14 because like growing up in primary school, we do like, what's your top 5, who you loving? And it would always be boys. So there was never a question of like, do I like girls? And I wasn't confused back then because when you're bisexual, it's easier to flick into each one. But I find it, well, personally, I find it easy to like flick into whatever what one that I want to be in. Then I was about 14, 15. I just started drinking and then I'd be like sexually attracted to girls. Then I was like, fuck it. But at that time, when you're like a teenager and you're going to discos, girls just kiss each other. It was just like a thing at my age. I don't know if that happens now. So it was kind of normalized then. One of my really good friends was actually came out as a lesbian like pretty early on. So it was kind of normalized then. So I never had this thing in my head where it's like, I have to come out. You know, I never thought, oh, maybe I must be gay then. It was a normal thing. I found it pretty easy just because of the circle I was with. So I never found that I actually had to come out. But I did like a girl, and I was going out with a girl when I was 15. And then I suffered really bad with like anxiety and depression. So I have to leave school early and I was crying all the time, like constantly, like inconsolably crying. I was grounded for ages because I was kind of like acting out, getting kicked out of places and just getting sick and like getting brought home by the guards. So my mom was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, I like girls. I don't even know what the fuck that means. I like girls, as if that's an excusable justification of why I was acting out. I don't know. And then she was like, oh, it's just a phase. That's literally what she said. And I was like, fair enough. Fair enough that you think that, but I don't. So anytime I've been single, I've had sex with girls, but I've never had a relationship since I was 15 with one. And I've never been on a date with one. I've just like had a casual one night stand sort of thing. Maybe it's just because I don't know how to flirt with girls or don't know how to progress in a relationship, but there's no real reason. I don't know if anyone wants to psychoanalyze me there, but that's kind of just my situation. And I would be in a relationship with a girl if the opportunity came about. Maybe I just haven't found anyone I like enough yet. And obviously there's just a smaller pool of like girls that are gay to be with whereas there's a huge range of boys, so it's much easier to find a man. Have you ever felt socially anxious or at any point your life felt really unliked as a person? Yeah, over I'd say the end of summer, after me and Coley had to move out of our house, and I was just really down, and I cried probably like 3 times a day. That's when, because I'm feeling shit about myself, I just assumed that everyone dislikes me. So I kind of like slowed down from posting on social media and YouTube and stuff, because I just couldn't deal if I got any backlash or criticism on anything, because I just take it too to heart. So whenever that happens, I just kind of, oh, I'm running out of battery. I just kind of like stop what I'm doing, or stop being so seeking attention, if you know what I mean. I just kind of go introverted and stop looking for reassurance of other people. So if I feel like disliked by people, it's not because I'm actually disliked, it's just because I dislike myself. So I just have to like detach for a while, because otherwise you're going to take it out on other people and just be like snapping back all the time and not be fun to be around. So I just have to like do some healing on my own. How do you begin to practice self-love? You seem like you've a really good relationship with yourself. What I usually do is I just write a list if I am feeling down about myself as like what it is, and usually I can tackle it very logically. So maybe it's like I feel dumber than everyone else. I would just like read a book and I feel better like literally instantly. I never look for reassurance of other people. It's always to do it yourself in your own mind. So it's like one part of your brain that's like, you're the fucking worst. You're the worst. Then you just like fight back with the other side of your brain and be like, no, look how great I am. There's like things that you can do to just like solve it very quickly. Appearance wise, obviously because my hair is falling out, that's like one thing that's like taking my identity away from me, because I really like hair. I really like having long hair, and the more I think about it, the more stress I get, and then the more hair that falls out. So for that, I just have to fucking relax and just like do shit that makes me happy. So there's sometimes like that where you just have to distract yourself with other shit rather than just looking in the mirror and being like, this is what's wrong with me, I'm gonna pay to get this fixed. So appearance wise, you just have to distract yourself and work on yourself more. If it's like personality wise, say you're insecure about your intelligence, insecure about your creativity, you think that other people are better than you, that sort of thing, you just kind of have to accept that people are better at you than some things, but the only person that you have to impress is yourself. So as long as you're doing the best to impress yourself, that's all that matters, rather than trying to impress other people and be like, I want to be better than that person. Because I feel like jealousy of other people's successes is such a thing, especially around my age group. Everyone's like, I wonder how much money they make and why did they get picked for that thing, especially with my field. It's like, why did they get picked to do for that talk when I'd be more suited? You know, you can get so dragged into that if you really think about it. So what I do now is just like accept that they got chosen for that and be happy for them. You really have to like force yourself if you are a jealous person. I'd be more like, I do get jealous of people's successes, twisted as if I don't like them, rather than just being like accepting that's like, oh, I'm jealous of this, I wonder why. I'd just be like, oh, fuck them, you know? It's such an immature way, but it's all in my head, I don't vocalize it. So that's, I recognize that that's a bad thing that I do. So then I just switch it around and be like, no, I actually really like that person, accept what they're good at and appreciate it, and then accept what you're good at, because you're definitely better at different things. So you don't have to be the same as someone else. Am I making any sense? No. I got a few, how do you get over a breakup? As I mentioned in my podcast, I have this coping mechanism that I can like sense if someone isn't liking me anymore, or they're just like distant or not into it. So I can just find one flaw about them and then make it into that I hate every single thing they do. Very unique. I don't know if loads of people can do that, but maybe you can train yourself to do that. I don't know. So if you're getting over a breakup, stop romanticizing the stuff that was good, because there was definitely flaws in the relationship or stuff that wasn't right. So just try and focus your mind on the shit things that they did, but don't like take it out on your friends, because honestly sometimes you could be loading too much negativity on the people around you. But just maybe write it down in a list, and then you can keep thinking it over, and then it's way easier, way easier to get over the person, because you can be like, okay, I can do better than that, and next time I can get an upgrade. And honestly, my own company is better than the flaws that they gave me and the flaws in our relationship. So that's kind of the way that I did it. I never had to train myself to do it. It just inherently was part of me. I don't know where the fuck it came from. It's very handy in terms of relationships. The only thing that fucking gets me is like, I crave intimacy so much that sometimes my mind can trick itself into thinking that I miss my ex, even though it's just like, I actually crave intimacy in general. It's not from that person. So then I have to be like, fuck, no, don't text, you know? Sometimes I obviously fall into that because I really like intimacy and like see the whole thing of like doing nothing with that one person. I really enjoy that. So as long as you're just like distracting yourself and spending time with your friends, like you can sit in silence with your friends as well. I think that's really important to have in friendship. If you're able to watch a movie and just sit in silence, or both go on your phone, like you don't have to entertain each other all the time, but it is nice to have someone to do nothing with. Being self-employed, how do you stay disciplined, focused, and do you have any tips for people starting out? So for me, the only thing that was like keeping me in the way is that because I lived with my boyfriend, I just want to stay in bed with him all day, because he was self-employed as well, but he worked like a few nights a week. So what I did was just like communicated that to him, And then because he was obviously he wanted to help me and make me as happy as I can be, he was like, okay, I'll get up at this hour and make you a cup of tea in bed to get you up, and then I'll leave the house so that you aren't distracted by me. So just find out what it is that's distracting you, either cut it out, or if it's a person, communicate it to them so that they know to like leave you alone for a certain amount of hours a day. If it's completely on your own, delete, and it's like you're going on your phone too much, whatever, just delete the apps for the day and then re-download them at the end, because then it's going to be much more of an effort for you to go on your phone. Biggest regret. I don't have one pinpoint moment where it's like, oh, I wish I never did that, but I always regret if I was ever really mean to me. Mean to me? No, fuck me. Honestly, fuck myself. No, if I was ever mean to other people, because I think back in like scenarios in school where at the time I'd be like, fuck everyone, I hate everyone, but like now looking back at it, I'm like, oh, I wish I wasn't such a bitch sometimes. But obviously now I'm just trying to improve myself and be nice to the people that are in my life now. Like that's the best that you can do. So I don't generally, like, I don't think I would have learned from that if it didn't happen. So I don't really regret it, but it's like, that's the only thing I look back on and be like, I wish I wasn't such a bitch. What's your strongest memory, happy or sad? So my strongest memory at the moment, because obviously it goes in waves of like what you remember, is, again, sorry I keep fucking mentioning it, because my hair is falling out, and if I'm ever fighting with my mom, this is what I always think of. When I was like 17, my hair was falling out because I was getting really emotionally and physically abused. There I go again, talking about it. My mom gave me like an Indian head massage that she watched a tutorial on YouTube with like oil she said it stimulated your hair growth in your scalp. And I just remember her, she was just so gentle, and I just started crying when she was doing it, because it was such a moment where I felt like really cherished and loved and looked after. That's something I really remember. And then obviously like fucking my parents divorcing or some shit, I don't know, the usual. But leave your strongest memory down below. I'd really like to know yours as well if you have any. Thanks so much for watching this. If you want to avail of the 2 free months from Skillshare, the link is down below. I hope this is interesting. Sorry, I'm like really low energy and like not in entertaining mode, if you know what I mean, if anyone can empathize with that. And people kept texting me being like, how are you feeling? Staying so positive during the quarantine, I can barely get out of bed. Like I get up out of bed, I'm like, I'm gonna get ready and feel great. And then I start talking, because I haven't actually spoken to people in ages, but now I'm talking to a camera, I realize how like dead my voice is, if that makes sense. But like I haven't cried as much, but I just feel really anxious, which I haven't felt anxious probably since I was like 17. So it's such a fucking horrible feeling. I honestly, my heart goes out to anyone who actually suffers with anxiety. And then my whole body is just like shaking. Tried to cut down on my coffee intake, but I'm addicted to coffee. And then just like talking to my friends rather than just mindlessly scrolling on my phone, because I can say, oh, I'm gonna do my online classes, or I'm gonna read a book today, but then I just lie in bed and just scroll on my phone for 5 hours, so I'm not actually doing anything productive, and then you feel even shitter about yourself. But we do have a long space of time until this is over probably, so that I have loads of time to work on myself if I want to. But at the moment I literally am just like lying in bed and scrolling on my phone, which is really bad for your mental health. So I'm trying not to do that, but I am pretty low energy and not really motivated to do anything. Sorry, I don't want to be like boo-hoo, poor me. Obviously more people are having a worse time with the quarantining, like for people who have lost their jobs. Personally I haven't, but I'm trying to donate as much as I can to charity that I have spare. I'm not trying to be like, oh, feel sorry for me, because I obviously don't feel sorry for myself, but it's still hard for everyone involved, and people are going to deal with it differently. Hope everyone's keeping safe and washing their hands and self-quarantining and staying inside. I wonder if I can edit this to make it actually funny. Probably not. Thanks for watching. Oh god, this is probably so boring. Love you all. Thanks for watching if you got to the end. And I feel like I need to cry. I feel like I need to burst into tears and scream into a pillow, but I just can't. Sometimes my brain's like, nope, not allowed, even though I know it would be a good release. Thanks for watching.